Some of us grow alone.
Some of us are cupped inward.
And some of us spread ourselves out wide.
Some of us are old and dried and tougher than we appear.
Some of us are still in bud.
Some of us grow low to the ground.
And some of us stretch toward the sun.
Some of us feel like weeds sometimes.
Some of us carry seeds sometimes.
Some of us are prickly sometimes.
And all of us are beautiful.
What a bouquet of people we are.
Come, let us worship together. I invite you to join me in singing our opening hymn, De Colores. It's number 305 in the gray hymnal. We will sing the first verse will be in Spanish, and then we'll sing the first two verses in English, and then finish again with the Spanish verse. Please rise in body or in spirit. De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de fuera. De colores es el arco iris que vemos lucir. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. All the colors we see in the springtime with all of the flowers. All the colors when the sunlight shines out through a rift in the cloud and it showers. All the colors as the rainbow appears when the storm cloud is touched by the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everything under the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the colors of people parading on by with their banners. All the colors, yes, the colors of pennants and streamers and plumes and bandanas. All the colors, yes, the colors of people now taking their place in the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de fuera. De colores es el arco iris que vemos lucir. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. And I invite you to remain risen for our chalice lighting. This Sunday, we're going to start a new practice for our chalice lighting, where we invite members and friends to light our chalice when they have a special occasion or milestone to mark in their life or the life of someone close to them. During the season, it could be a graduation or a birth. It might be a wedding anniversary or the anniversary of a loved one's passing. Whatever it is, we intend to honor and lift up those moments, important moments in our lives. And so this morning, our chalice will be lit by Lucas Tinoco, who is lighting the chalice in honor of his partner, Jeremy Pace, who celebrated his 36th birthday yesterday.
Within the heart of the flower, the fountain of beauty, within the heart of the community, a fire that warms and dances, within the heart of each of us, a spark of the spirit of life. Holy, holy, holy.
Thanks so much for doing that, Lucas. And so if you would like to participate in a future service, you can just be in contact with me or the worship associate for that service and let us know briefly who or what you would like to honor. The chalice lighting is first come, first served. Of course, we do later in the service lift up other things within our, so if you aren't able to do it for that Sunday, we always have our Book of Life where we lift things up. And I would also share that if the idea of lighting a chalice seems good to you, but saying the chalice lighting is terrifying, you also don't have to say the chalice lighting words if you would prefer not to. So anyway, I'm looking forward to starting this new tradition, and thanks to Pam Randall for bringing this idea to us. And now I invite you to join me in saying our covenant words, first in English and then in Spanish. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity and fellowship, thus do we covenant. La doctrina de esta iglesia es el amor. La búsqueda de la verdad es su sacramento y el servicio es su oración. Vivir juntos en paz, buscar el conocimiento en libertad, servir a la humanidad en comunión, este es nuestro pacto.
Welcome. Let us remember the land we are located on and live from is the traditional land of the Tongva, Kizh, Chumash, and Tataviam peoples, past and present. Let us honor the land itself and the people who have stewarded it across generations, that we might learn and become better stewards ourselves. Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to Emerson Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Tracy Watson. My pronouns are she, her, and I am happy to serve as your worship associate today. Emerson is a progressive, spiritual community with a long history of serving the West Valley. It is a place where we can come together with the goal of living our deepest values, such as justice and inclusion for all, to the greatest extent we can. None of us has all the answers, and so we continue to work toward finding meaning together, talk about life's big questions, and ask ourselves how we can work together to make a difference. Today is an exciting day because we are celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Flower Communion, a beloved ritual our congregation celebrates each spring, a celebration of beauty, diversity, and acceptance. It's good to see those of you who are here in person, and we want to extend a warm welcome to those of you joining us online as well. I want to extend a special welcome to those of you who are new here. If you didn't have a chance to sign the guest book, we invite you to do so in the foyer or by following the link in the chat. We also have our Inquirers series today, shortly after noon, which you can attend in the minister's office on Zoom. And everyone is welcome to join us for our first Sunday potluck after the service today. Don't worry if you didn't bring anything to share, and those of you on Zoom can stick around for a virtual coffee hour. In a moment, I'm going to invite us to greet our neighbors. If you have a joy or sorrow you would like shared aloud with the congregation later in our service, you can take this time to write it in our Book of Life located on the table behind the piano. And if you brought a flower to share, this is a great time to bring it forward and put it in one of the vases if you can find some room. And now, let us greet our neighbors in the spirit of welcome.
See if you get an iPad. You know, I was last time
I have to make something like this.
it's true. It's true.
become obsessed with buckets of water all over the bathroom. It's amazing how much water you can get. When I started making pitchers to stick into the bucket of water so I can pour it apart, and I'm using those plastic spoons and water bottles and everything, cut the top a little circle on the top and use it as a scoop. Next environment, I have to bring my scoops to show everything.
It is good to be together.
You belong among the wildflowers. You belong on a boat out at sea. Sail away, kill off the hours. You belong somewhere you feel free. Sail away, go find a lover. Go away somewhere bright and new. I have seen no other that compares with you. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. You belong with your love on your arm. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away, go find a lover. Run away, let your heart be your guide. You deserve the deepest of cover. You belong in that home by and by. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong somewhere close to me, far away from your trouble and worry. You belong somewhere you feel free. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong somewhere close to me.
love that song so much, and you did such a wonderful job with it. Thank you. This morning, our story is called Wanda's Roses, and it's written by Pat Brisson and illustrated by Marianne Coca Leffler. One morning in May, on the way to school, Wanda noticed a bush growing in an empty corner lot. It must have been growing for a while because it was about 2 feet tall, and Wanda was surprised she hadn't noticed it before. But there it was, bare and thorny, and Wanda, who loved beautiful things, felt her heart beat faster. "A rose bush," she said to herself, "my own rose bush." Now the rose bush didn't really belong to Wanda, but since the lot didn't seem to belong to anyone, she decided she would take care of it. All during school, she thought about her rose bush. During art, she drew pictures of what it would look like in bloom. During library, she borrowed books about roses. And during science, she asked so many questions about how to take care of it that finally her teacher said she really must stop asking questions about roses and start thinking about electricity, which is what the lesson was about. After school, she rushed to the rose bush. It was still bare and thorny. Maybe it needs more sun, thought Wanda. So she began dragging the trash away from it. Miss Turner, who was on her way to the store, stopped to help her with the broken chair. "Cleaning up the neighborhood, Wanda?" she asked. "I'm not cleaning. I'm helping my rose bush get more sun so it will bloom." "Rose bush? Where's your rose bush?" Miss Turner asked. "Over there," Wanda said, pointing proudly to the bare, thorny bush. "Wanda, I'm not so sure that's a rose bush," said Miss Turner gently. "Sure it is." "Well, good luck, Wanda." And as she walked away, Miss Turner thought to herself, "If that's a rose bush, then I'm the Queen of England." The next day after school, Wanda hurried to her rose bush. It was still bare and thorny. Maybe it needs more air, thought Wanda. So she began taking more of the trash out to the curb. Once I get all this trash out, there'll be plenty of fresh air. Mr. Claudel was on his way home from work and saw Wanda trying to drag an old door and stopped to help. "Cleaning up the neighborhood, Wanda?" he asked. "Not just cleaning," Wanda told him. "I'm getting rid of this trash so my rose bush will get more air." "A rose bush? Here?" Mr. Claudel asked. And so Wanda showed him the rose bush. "I don't know much about gardening, but I don't think that's a rose bush." "Sure it is, and in a few weeks, this lot will be filled with the sweetest smelling roses you've ever seen." Mr. Claudel shook his head. "If that's a rose bush," he said to himself, "then I'm the King of France." Every day after school, that week and the next, Wanda worked in the empty lot. Ms. Giamoni, who lived in the apartment next door, gave Wanda trash bags. "Oh, you've done a great job of cleaning up," Ms. Giamoni told her. "Oh, I'm not just cleaning," Wanda said. "I have to get rid of all this trash so my rose bush will get enough sun and air." "But where is your rose bush?" Ms. Giamoni asked. So Wanda showed her. "Wanda," she said, "this is not a rose bush." "Oh, but it is, and in a few weeks you will see this lot will be filled with the most beautiful roses you've ever seen." Ms. Giamoni sighed. Next week, when the rose bush still wasn't blooming, Wanda talked to her school librarian. "I need some books about getting roses to bloom," she told Ms. Jones. "Oh, do you have a rose bush, Wanda?" Ms. Jones asked. "Yes, but it doesn't have flowers yet, and I know it has enough sun and fresh air." "Well, does it have enough water?" Ms. Jones asked. "Water," Wanda said. "Of course. That will make it bloom." That afternoon, she hurried to the rose bush. "Don't worry, little bush," she said. "I'll get you some water, and then you'll grow flowers." Wanda went to the butcher shop across the street. Mr. Sanchez, would you please give me some water for my rose bush?" "Rose bush? Is that what I see you taking care of?" Mr. Sanchez asked. "Oh, yes, I'm sure," Wanda said, "but it can't bloom because it needs water." Mr. Sanchez gave her a bucket of water. "I really hope that's a rose bush, Wanda," he said. "You'll see," Wanda told him. "In a few weeks, the whole lot will be full of roses." As Wanda carried the water to her rose bush, Mr. Sanchez muttered, "In a few weeks, that thorn bush will still be a thorn bush." Every day, Wanda ran to the rose bush after school. But every day, it was still bare and thorny. She watered it and sang to it and checked its bare branches for roses. And whenever anyone would ask if there were roses yet, whenever anyone would ask if there were roses yet, Wanda would answer, "You just wait. Pretty soon this whole lot will be filled with roses." One day in June, Wanda had an idea. Looking at the bare, thorny bush, she said, "If my rose won't give roses to me, I'll just have to give roses to my rose bush." When she saw Ms. Turner, Mr. Claudel, Ms. Giamoni, Mr. Jones, and Ms. Jones and Mr. Sanchez, she gave them each an invitation. And it said, "Please come for tea and muffins at Wanda's Rose Garden, Saturday morning at 9. "Oh dear," said Ms. Turner. "Is she still expecting to get roses from that bush?" "Oh no," said Mr. Claudel, "and she worked so hard too." "Oh my," said Ms. Giamoni, "she'll be so disappointed." "Oh darn," said Mr. Sanchez, "there must be something I can do." "Oh good," said Ms. Jones, who had only heard about the bush and hadn't seen it herself, "and I'll bring the muffins." The night before the tea party, everyone was busy. And the next morning at 9, everyone was surprised to see Wanda's rose bush covered with roses, paper roses that Wanda had made herself and carefully tied to each thorny branch. But more surprising yet, everyone who came to the party had brought along a rose bush to plant near Wanda's, except Ms. Jones, who brought delicious blueberry muffins. After they ate their muffins and drank their tea, they all got busy planting rose bushes. Mr. Claudel and Ms. Turner dug the holes. Ms. Giamoni held the bushes in place, while Wanda and Ms. Jones filled it in around the roots with soil. And Mr. Sanchez brought water from his shop. When the work was finished, Mr. Claudel said, "Wanda, this is going to be a rose garden fit for a king." "Or a queen," said Ms. Turner. And later that summer, the whole lot was filled with the biggest, most beautiful, sweetest smelling roses that anyone had ever seen, just as Wanda said it would be. I now invite you to join me in saying our Unitarian Universalist affirmation. We are Unitarian Universalists, a people of open minds, loving hearts, and welcoming hands. Each Sunday we share our offering with an organization that we think is doing good work and which aligns with our values. This week, we have an organization that very obviously aligns with our values. It's UU Justice Ministry of California. And the mission of UU Justice Ministry of California is to advance justice in our state by cultivating and connecting leaders and communities, and by empowering the public voice of those who share UU values and principles. We are called by faith to change policies and structures that inhibit human development, harm the environment, and destroy communities. We are called to educate and organize for justice. And UUJMCA does that work by lobbying in the Capitol, as well as by offering trainings and opportunities for deepening our own commitment and skills when it comes to doing the work of passing laws, which are how we help make our ideals, our values manifest in our state and in our world. And so if you're paying online, you can donate via the Vanco mobile app or donate.emersonyuc.org. Just a quick note, you may have seen it in our e-blast, in our weekly e-blast this week, that we're going to be switching platforms to Breeze, and so there's information about that. If you are a contributing member or friend, you should probably be getting a direct email as well, but we're going to start that switch over. Should be available next June 11th, next Sunday, and then we'll hope to fully transition by the start of our fiscal year, July 1st. So I think we're excited about it. It will save us some money and also make it easier on our volunteers since it integrates with our church membership software. So for those of you who are paying with a check, or I invite you to share the plate in the memo. If you're paying a pledge, if you're putting in a check for your pledge, please make sure to write pledge on that. And now our offering will now be gratefully received.
Together we share, and from this we live.
Norbert Čapek was born in Bohemia, what is now part of the Czech Republic, to a devout Catholic mother and an agnostic father. Raised Catholic, as an 18-year-old, Norbert discovered the Baptists and soon after became a minister. He was a great thinker and preacher, and he founded almost a dozen churches from Ukraine to Budapest. Yet year after year, his religious beliefs became more and more liberal. And when his writings attracted unfavorable attention from the government, he left for the United States to serve a Baptist congregation in New Jersey. Yet over the next few years, he came to realize, as he wrote in his diary, "I cannot be a Baptist anymore, even in compromise. The fire of new desires, new worlds is burning inside me." And so he resigned his ministry. A couple years later, Norbert and his wife Maya's children wanted to attend Sunday school. So they had tried out a different church each week. And after attending the local Unitarian Church, they told their parents they had been encouraged to wonder and to ask questions. And they liked this, and so they decided to go back. And soon after, Norbert and Maya decided to attend themselves. And in 1921, they became members of the Unitarian Church in New Jersey. Or a Unitarian Church in New Jersey. And when they moved back to their newly independent homeland of Czechoslovakia a few months later, they decided to bring their new faith back with them. They founded the Prague Liberal Religious Fellowship in 1922. It was a time of great change after the so-called war to end all wars, and the religious movement caught fire in a nation alive with freedom and longing for change. The Prague congregation's liberating message and vibrant music drew thousands to worship, yet something was missing. A new ritual was needed to unite the diverse and eager crowds. And the traditional Christian communion service of bread and wine wouldn't meet the needs of his congregation because his church, like ours, had people who believed many different things. And so 100 years ago, in June 1923, CHAW-peck crafted the flower ceremony, which we now call the flower communion. He asked his congregants to bring a flower to church from their gardens, the field, or the roadside. Gathered in one vase, their combined beauty was dazzling, yet each blossom retained its uniqueness. At the end of the service, he said, each person is to take one flower just as it comes, without making any distinction where it came from or whom it represents. To confess that we accept each other without regard to class, race, or other distinction, acknowledging everybody as our friend. This compelling ritual of individual free will, the beauty of diversity, and the power of unity became an annual tradition celebrated as the church continued to grow and thrive. And the flower communion influenced the symbol for Czech Unitarianism, which you can see there, those sunflowers reaching up towards the sun. But all was not peaceful in Czechoslovakia. And in 1939, the Nazis marched into Prague and occupied it. Maya was on a lecture tour in the United States to raise money and help refugees who were escaping from the Nazis. And although Norbert could have joined her, he stayed behind and resisted in his own way. In public, he preached sermons promoting the inclusive, affirming values reflected in the flower communion. The Nazis found his message dangerous, and in 1942, Norbert was arrested. During his trial, his sermons were used as evidence of treason, and his message of the inherent worth and beauty of every human person was declared too dangerous, I quote, too dangerous to the Third Reich for him to be allowed to live. And the Gestapo sent him to the Dachau concentration camp, where he continued to write poetry and provide faithful service to his fellow prisoners. A few months later, after his arrival, the Nazis killed Norbert Čapek. But his spirit, courage, and commitment live on today. Those qualities have passed now to us to make them real. And they live on in part because his wife, Maya, who was ordained as a Unitarian minister herself, brought the flower ceremony to the Unitarian Church she served in New Bedford, Massachusetts in 1940. And from there it spread, becoming a beloved ritual at congregations across the United States. Almost all of our congregations celebrate this flower communion or flower ceremony each spring. And so this flower communion, which we celebrate the 100th anniversary of this month, is not a historical reenactment of something over and done, but an affirmation of our continuity with the generations of struggle for ever-widening liberty. This flower ceremony, lovely though it is, isn't a diversion from ugly realities, but a gentle fierceness that proclaims that in the midst of challenging times, there is always the light of beauty. The point of Čapek's story is not to be willing to die for your faith, but to fully live it. And as Čapek asked his people to bring a flower and celebrate beauty, diversity, and acceptance, so shall we. And we'll get to that a little later in the service, but now another musical offering.
Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves our soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger, an endless aching need. I say love, it is a flower, and you, its only seed. It's the heart afraid of waking that never learns to dance. It's the dream afraid of waking that never takes a chance. It's the one who won't be taken, who cannot seem to give, and the soul afraid of dying that never learns to live. When the night has been too lonely and the road has been too long, and you think that love is only for the lucky and the strong, just remember in the winter, far beneath the bitter snows, lies the seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose.
Every Sunday, we take time in our service to lift up the joys and sorrows from within our community and in the wider world. This week in our Book of Life, Lynn Prager writes, "So happy to be with all of you after our trip to Idaho to celebrate our eldest grandson's college graduation. He graduated with honors and we are so proud of him. Unfortunately, we caught COVID at the end of our trip and are clear now, but just to make it extra fun, I took a fall Friday in my backyard and broke 2 ribs. Hope the rest of the summer goes better." And Mia writes, "Loving thoughts and prayers for my stepdaughter Anita in the final stages of colon cancer." Lucas writes, "Live to love, love to live. Life is beautiful." And Katie writes, "Happy birthday to my youngest daughter, Indy, who turns 14. Please give us strength and hope during these crazy teenage years." Last Saturday, Jenny Marjoram welcomed her first great-grandchild, Charlotte, on May 27th. And in our virtual Book of Life, Dave Ginsburg writes that his wife Sandy is healing up from a broken toe earlier this week. Now, in a moment, I'm going to sound this singing bowl, and after I do, I invite you to speak into this space any joys or sorrows, any names or occasions that are on your heart this morning, and that you would like lifted up into this congregation in this, our embracing meditation. Victims of the train crash in India. All that we have shared and all that we hold in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, we offer these into the embrace of this beloved community. I invite you now to join me in a spirit of meditation or prayer. Let us give thanks for a bouquet of people. We give thanks for children. Like tulips and iris, they multiply around us, making the world ever more filled with color, beauty, and new life. May we bless them as they replant themselves ever further from us, knowing that they need their own space to grow into. We give thanks for generous friends as constant in bloom as echinacea and whose gifts lift up our body and spirit. We give thanks for feisty friends as indomitable as geraniums and for continuous friends who, like bittersweet and ivy, hold on and never let go and can never be gotten rid of. For crotchety friends as prickly as rose bushes, their beauty a secret that is only discovered through careful gardening. For surprising friends who at first glance seem dour and then blossom into joy as quickly as forsythia. For funny friends, silly as snapdragons, and serious friends, complex as chrysanthemums. For comfortable friends, their gentle presence as soothing as the sweet smell of lilacs. For stormy weather friends who stand by us in hard times like the lily of the valley that cannot be deterred by shade or shadow. For old friends nodding like sunflowers in the evening time, and young friends coming on fast as flocks. For friends as unpretentious as dogwood, as persistent as pachysandra, as steadfast as azalea, and who, like snowdrops, can be counted on to see you through the winter and remind you that spring always comes. For loving friends who wind around us like wisteria and embrace us despite our blights, wilts, and witherings. And finally, for forget-me-not friends, gone but never forgotten. Their beauty lives on in our memories and hearts. For this bouquet of people who brighten our lives, each in their own way, we give thanks. Amen. I invite you now to join me in singing I Know This Rose Will Open by Mary Gregolia. And I think we'll try to sing it as a round. So we'll sing it all together once, and then we'll start here and then move to this half, just splitting down the middle. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my fear will burn away. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open.
This is a reading by Craig Schwalenberg. Each of us is a seed in the divine secret garden, the gardener, a mystery to us, an unknowable beginning and bestower of grace. Nor do we know what lies within the seed of us, what will grow into being, what gifts we'll offer to the world. We are unfolding mysteries, flags waiting to unfurl and present our colors to the world. And as we grow, as we stretch toward the sky and sun, fulfilling some plan laid out long before we arrived, we may very well wonder, question the mystery of it all. Never entirely sure of our purpose, never quite sure of our neighbors growing right beside us, but with all this mystery, all this unknown, we do know this. We know the beauty of it, the beauty of those beside us, beauty around us, below us, and above us, and the beauty within us, waiting to burst free, waiting to be recognized and made real, Each of us is a seed in the divine secret garden. What colors wait within your bud? What scent permeates your yet to be? There are no weeds here, no plants without purpose, even if that purpose may be just to be a part of the beauty and the mystery.
In a moment, we will begin our flower communion, and so if I could have one person who'd be willing to go and bring our children back so they can participate. But before we do that, thanks, Tracy. But before we do that, a hymn, Color and Fragrance. It's number 78 in your gray hymnals. And Color and Fragrance is one of 3 hymns in our hymnal written by CHAW-peck, who, in addition to being a great thinker and writer, was also a musician. So he composed not only the music and the lyrics, which reflected his belief in the beauty of creation, as well as our responsibility to help make the world a more just, loving, and harmonious place. So I invite you to please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing. Please be seated. We begin our flower communion with the words, the blessing that CHAW-peck originally offered to his congregation, here translated into English. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of the most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world. And so on this 100th anniversary, while we celebrate tradition, we also do things differently sometimes too. And so I think we've done this once before, a slightly different approach to our flower communion. Rather than each person coming up and taking a flower for themselves, you will receive, we'll all come forward and you will receive a flower from the person in front of you and offer a flower to the person behind. You see, I think it's kind of in some ways perfect because religious community is not like a store. You don't get to select the ways you are being transformed. You simply are transformed by being in a diverse, beloved community. You receive the gifts people bring, and you bring gifts that will be offered to others. For those of you joining on Zoom, since you can't partake in our wonderful flowers here, although I hope that our cameras will show the beauty of flowers arrayed here, I created a special wheel of flowers, which you can spin and receive a California native wildflower. And so you can, in order to do that, you can click on the link, which should be posted in the chat soon, if it hasn't been yet. And so now I invite those here in this space to come forward down the side aisles, and then when you're done, to process up the center aisle. So we'll line up, and I will offer the first flower. I will offer a flower to the first people who come up, and then again, you will offer a flower to the person behind you. So I want you to just take some time to admire the beauty of the flower that was offered to you. Notice the color and shapes. Take a deep whiff of the flower. Smell its aromas if it has one. What is it that makes this flower special? But don't forget that there are beautiful and amazing flowers all around you. And so I invite you to hold up your flowers and look around at all of the other flowers in the room, as well as those here on the chancel, and just soak it up. Open yourselves up to the blessings of their beauty. Open yourself up to the blessings of each other. I invite you to join me now in singing a hymn. This is a new hymn written this year for the flower communion. Bring a Flower by Amanda Udis Kessler. Ooh, I had these wonderful quotes, which maybe I'll put those up later. It's having too much fun with the flower communion.
Share your blessings, lean on others, help your neighbors, then receive. Feed the hungry, tend the hurting, we'll be with you when you grieve. As we labor, as we wonder, as we heed the justice call, bring a flower, take a flower, there are flowers here for all.
I want to thank everyone who helped make this service possible. I guess I don't need this there. For the two absolutely beautiful songs that were excellent additions. And it was also so nice. And it was so nice to have De Colores played on guitar as it is meant to be played as well. And thanks to Tracy as our worship associate, for the folks up in our Crow's Nest, for Kevin Matthey, our music director, to the people at the welcome desk and our ushers, and those who helped set up for our potluck, our first Sunday potluck, and we'll be helping clean up afterwards. It takes a whole bouquet of flowers to make this church run, and so all of your contributions to its beauty are appreciated. One quick announcement. Again, if you didn't bring anything for the potluck, you're welcome to stay. There's food to share. Also, next Sunday is going to be our new member Sunday, another way of honoring the beauty of this congregation and the people in it. And so if you're interested in becoming a member, you can talk to me. And also, after the service is our Inquirers series, which meets on the first Sunday of the month. And so again, that's going to be at 12 o'clock in the minister's office and on Zoom. And you can learn more about membership there. So I hope you'll take that opportunity if you're curious. And now I invite you to... Normally we take hands, but we've all have flowers. So I'm just going to invite you to raise your flowers up one more time as we extinguish our chalice. May this church be a garden where we can all be watered by love and fertilized by the Spirit, pruning fruitless twigs to promote new growth, where our fears will burn away and our soul will unfurl its wings so that we might bloom and reach our full potential. A church of every blossom imaginable. Amen, Ashe, blessed be.